It's really not his eyes. The problem is just the pass. He leads it too much. The receiver was a little soft going across the middle. I think that was a combination of an errant throw and not a lot of courage by the receiver.
Watson with a second consecutive carry. Jelani Tavai is not buying it. Made a nice stop, stood him up for no gain, and it'll be now 3rd down and 9.
Well, Kevin Lempa is a great defensive coach. He was at Boston College where they led the nation in defense last year as a defensive secondary coach, and he's trying to convert this Hawaii defense into ones that's very stingy and stop the run.
You saw the late substitution, or too many on the field, and Cal trying to get one off. And the penalty flag there as the ball was snapped before he got to the sideline.
There's no foul for an illegal substitution, as the 12th player on defense did make it off the field prior to the expiration of the clock. Please reset the clock. 25 seconds will start on my signal.
All right, they've rethought that one. You mentioned Kevin Lempa, originally from Hartford, Connecticut. Spent his last 3 years as the defensive coordinator at Boston College. Trying to bring some heat here on Davis Webb. Webb gets the ball outside. It falls incomplete in the intended direction of Jordan Vesey. 15 for Cal.
Webb told me even though he's 6'5", 230, he can run 4.7. So he talked about his movement skills in our interview, and that showed me a little bit. He did move in the pocket enough to get rid of the ball.
6'5". Those strides cover a lot of ground. So the Cal punter comes onto the field. It's the redshirt sophomore from Malibu, Dylan Klump. Redshirted a year ago after transferring in from Golden West College. That is his first collegiate punt. The bounce at the 13. Take a Hawaii roll and be down there. And the Rainbow Warriors will come on the field for their second offensive possession. Nick Rolovich. Back to the islands, back to the Rock, where he was before as both a quarterback and a coach, and now back as the head coach. And is, as you said before, the right guy for the job.
Yeah, because he understands it. He gets it. He hired a lot of guys that had worked previously at Hawaii that have connected with the people there, and he recognized he's not able to do as much coaching as he wanted. He said, I have to go talk to groups. I've got to try to repair relations in a sense, and he understands now what being a head coach is.
Trying to rebuild the pride in the program, trying to rebuild the program in the community, and trying to rebuild the pride in the program from within the locker room also, which is something that he felt was missing in recent years. A nice run. Diosemy St. Just, what a story he is. Missed all of last season after being injured in camp. Born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Played his prep ball in Boynton Beach, Florida, down in Palm Beach County. And here he is out in Hawaii, getting his first carries after missing all of last season.
He's an example of that Magellan mindset that Coach Rolovich talks about.
Set out to the right here of quarterback Ikaika Woolsey on a 2nd and 1. Woolsey will throw in the direction of St. Just, but it's knocked out of his hands. Good hit there by Darius Allensworth, the defensive back for Cal, to knock the ball loose.
They're utilizing the empty set to put pressure and have Cal show. Cal looked like they're coming in pressure. They actually dropped out, so there's no protection issues. You got to catch the ball in that situation. Woolsey, the throws that he's made could have been caught. I feel bad for the young man, but they need to get some first downs.
They need a yard to get one here. Just will get the carry. He'll get stood up, but he'll fight forward and get the line to gain. Was hit by Kari Vanderbilt, but kept the legs moving and made it the needed distance.
That was a great job, because I really thought they had no chance to make it. He was standing straight up, but he used his legs, and he's built. He's 5'8", 195. I mean, he's a solid young man. So you got to take him down, and you need to gang tackle. He probably was going to make up for dropping the pass on 3rd and 1 too.
See hands again. St. Just have a nice gain on 1st down. We were talking about Nick Rolovich and what he wants to accomplish with this program. You know, you hear a lot, particularly like around Southern Cal, right before they named Clayton Helton. We got to have a guy that knows the program, I wonder how overrated that can be sometimes, but particularly in Hawaii's case, is it a must?
It's an absolute must. I think you have to understand the culture. You have to be able to recruit both from within the population locally, and then you got to be a great recruiter going out, and you have to have the mindset that you're going to make it a special place to be, because that's the only way you're going to get those kids to come from thousands of miles away to play on the island.
Pass into the hands of Ammon Barker, and he'll carry it for first down yardage.
Ammon Barker, the receivers for the Hawaii team play left and right, and that is typically to allow you to go a lot faster, but that's also common in the run and shoot. Ammon Barker, one of the guys that they are looking for. He's the jump ball guy, 6'4", 215. He's a great target inside.
Yeah, offensive coordinator Brian Smith called him their possession receiver, not necessarily the burner, but their big possession guy. St. Just again. Again, nice little yardage on first down with the inside handoff.
Yeah, getting a little bit of a rhythm now and trying to open up the Cal defense a little bit. You'll see both teams sort of probing each other in the first quarter, sort of finding out what systems, what schemes are they running, who do we think we can attack, who's better than we thought. We want to stay away from that guy.
So the big week in Sydney, the big long plane trip, the nerves for the first game. Coaches and players kind of over that by now?
Absolutely. Once the ball is kicked off, once you take that first hit, I don't think there's any nerves. Now it's about survival, it's about execution, it's about performance.
Woolsey has time and throws complete. First down yardage across the middle. And their leading receiver from a year ago, Marcus Kemp, has the ball.
Marcus Kemp plays on the right side. Marcus Kemp is also on the leadership council. He's one of the guys that the coaches have designated. Here's a nice job looking off. You see him look to the left, sort of freezes the underneath coverage, comes back to his big receiver over the middle, who takes a great hit there. I'll tell you what, you're going to have to think twice about going across the middle to keep getting hit like that.
You keep getting 18 yards a pop across the middle, and you'll keep doing it, right?
You're right. You're right.
This time they go outside, and it's Kemp again. Makes a man miss. To the 10, still in bounds. Touchdown, Hawaii.
That was a great job by Kemp. It was a nice throw. Perfect timing on the throw that got him. But he makes two moves here that changes this from just an ordinary possession to a touchdown.
What a shot at confidence for the Rainbow Warriors, too.
Watch this right now. He's already eluded one guy. Look at that step and move right there to stay inbounds, sort of steps over, regains his balance. That's a tremendous job.
Rigoberto Sanchez handles the point after try successfully. Yeah, you can see the grass, the green grass, between the white cleat and the white sideline, so no question about it. And Hawaii ties the ball game halfway through the opening quarter of the season. Yard touchdown pass, resulting in the score. Mr. Webb, your turn.
Yeah, volley and serve. Here we go. You know, we talked about a first game basis too. Coaches and players are really excited. They're not scared. They want to find out how good they are. Everyone wants to see. They're tired of hitting each other. Offense going against defense. Really important to get this stuff out in the first game.
Well, this is the first game of a spectacular first week of college football. Look at the lineup. Best kickoff weekend ever? I second it. Starting with Oklahoma-Houston, capped off by Ole Miss and Florida State. I mean, where do you look? All of them, I guess.
That first group, I love the SC-Alabama matchup. We got to see if SC is all the way back. You know Alabama will be.
You know, I was reading over the menu of games, looking at some of the bullet points and some of the notes and so on, and I was sitting there trying to figure out what the overriding impression was of that. And then we got a piece of research from our staff. ESPN's Football Predictive Index said that Southern Cal has the most difficult college football schedule of the season. And why not? They're opening with Bama.
I think they're one of the best teams in the Pac-12. I don't know if they can negotiate that schedule, to be honest with you. The game, I'll tell you, the game I'm really excited about is Florida State Ole Miss, though, because I think DeAndre Francois, we got to find out. Florida State is loaded, but they got a question mark quarterback. Ole Miss has Chad Kelly. They got the quarterback issue, and they're really good. But that's SEC versus ACC, and Florida State's trying to reestablish some dominance.
You know, Ole Miss, right? They have the quarterback, the receivers, the running backs, the offensive line, not as proven as before. Florida State, we know about the running back. Dalvin Cook is going to be spectacular, Heisman candidate for sure. What we don't know about is the quarterback.
You're right, and I'll tell you what, Dalvin Cook is a magician. He understands blocking schemes so well, and they do a great job. But he makes the linemen look really good because he sets up a ton of blocks.
He is fun to watch, isn't he? Chad Hansen gets the first down yardage on the swing pass from Davis Webb. Back to SC Bama, right? Who's going to play quarterback for Bama? Have you ever seen a preseason where there were so many quarterback competitions and we didn't know who the starter was going to be for these high-profile programs?
You know, normally I would say that would be a problem if you didn't know who your quarterback was, except with Nick Saban at Alabama, he has not proven to be a problem. He's had first-year starters. They've won national championship. So the reality is, I think that usually would be a problem, and I grade a person down. Not for him. Let's take a look at it. They finally get some pressure here, and I think almost this ball gets tipped. It's really scary when you hit your offensive line, balls up in the air. Just want to get it down on the ground. Live to play the next down.
Sorry, Coach David Manoa with the pressure for Hawaii. Webb goes right back to the air. They're tangled up. Referees are reaching for those flags. Jamal Mayo going to get flagged for interference. Never look back for the ball.
Now that's pretty tough. I'll tell you what, I'm an offensive coach, but I don't believe the defense has a chance in these kind of situations. But the receiver made a great play. He tried to look, he looked back for the ball, and unfortunately too much contact by the defender.
There are fouls on both teams. Ineligible receiver downfield, number 79 offense. Pass interference, number 11 defense. Those fouls offset, still second down.
That'll take care of that.
Yeah, and that's frustrating. You know, when you get a big penalty like that, you do not want to lose it because somebody's downfield. They're doing a lot better job of watching that this year. That's one of the emphasis points for the officials.
Webb throws near side, complete. Chad Hansen again on the reception. Not much for yardage though.
You know, it's interesting in the pregame stuff. I thought the Cal players said all the right things. They were buttoned up. The Hawaii players were very, very loose. And they were looking like they had nothing to lose and everything in the game because they're the underdogs in this game. So you wonder if there's some pressure on Cal. And as Hawaii keeps this game close, how the Cal team's going to respond.
Webb throws over the top of Melky Stovall. And incomplete, sets up another fourth down. They went for it on 4th and short earlier. Looks like they're going to try it again.
Yeah. No pain, no gain. Go for it. What the heck?
And a timeout coming from the Hawaii sideline. Didn't like something they saw and wanted to regroup and talk about it. Let's talk more about a couple of those games from opening week we hadn't touched on yet. Oklahoma and Houston. Fascinating game, isn't it? I don't think when Bob Stoops and the Oklahoma staff scheduled that game, they quite counted on Houston being this good.
No, well, Herman wasn't going to be there, and Ward wasn't going to be there, didn't know about it. So, yeah, I'll tell you what, Oklahoma's loaded. Baker Mayfield, and they have answers at every single position. Houston has lost some people up front, which scares me a little bit, both the offensive and defensive line. They have skilled people. I saw them dismantle Florida State in the bowl game last year, so that's going to be interesting. The group of 5 people are really going to watch that game.
Absolutely. So that one of the games that will kick it all off in the best opening weekend ever for college football. One of the things that's been a byproduct of this whole college football playoff and the things the committee views as important are these great non-conference matchups we're seeing early in the season. So 4th and 3 here for Cal at the Hawaii 25.5-yard line. Under pressure, Webb throws and caught for a first down. Vic Enweri gets the catch and moves the sticks for the Golden Bears.
Nice job. That's very impressive by Davis Webb because he didn't come out of that clean. That's a play action where it's a bootleg. He doesn't have any help there, and he had to buy time, allow the receiver to get open underneath. Nice job, nice execution.
Sidestep. Brandon Singleton inside the 20-yard line before he's knocked out of bounds.
One of the things that I noticed in looking at Jared Goff versus Davis Webb, Davis Webb has a longer delivery, so the ball is going to take a little longer to get out of his hands, which some of these timing plays that rely on the quickest release possible are going to be a little bit slower than last year.
Going for it. And caught. Touchdown, Cal. Chad Hansen.
He's the veteran in that group, like I said, and they talked about him. He was going to come into his own this year.
Ooh, did I just see a little Australian rules football referee score signal there from Hansen?
Probably. I'm sure that they've seen it, probably practiced it a little bit.
Oh, fun if it is.
Now, this is what I'm talking about. Here's the ball's out really quick. Perfect placement on this throw. Fights the defender off a little bit, but goes up and makes a great catch. Comes down with the feet in the end zone. Tremendous pass in terms of placement. Nice catch.
Matt Anderson knocks through the point after try, so Webb leads his second scoring drive as Cal quarterback. This time, after converting on the 4th and 3, they throw into the end zone. Hansen comes up with the score in Sydney. They have some beautiful beaches in Sydney. This is Newcastle Beach, one of the best surfing areas around town. Some folks having fun at ANZ Stadium as Cal has just gone ahead of Hawaii 14-7. Cal 3 possessions, 2 touchdowns, and 1 3-and-out. Noah Pieto to kick off for the Golden Bears. Taken on the 3. Ivalico, and a flag down at the 21-yard line.
That was a pretty obvious, I think, face mask, it looked like. That young man changed direction pretty quickly. I think somebody's hand was hanging out of his face mask.
Personal foul, face mask, kicking team, number 16. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, this is what you don't want to do.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's dangerous for one thing to both players, but you just want to avoid and eliminate penalties, especially on a kickoff, because it gives them great field position.
So Kellen Ivalico brought the ball out to the 21. They tack some yardage onto that. And the Rainbow Warriors start from the 36-yard line, trailing Cal by 7.
Let's see if Woolsey can keep the hot streak he's had. He got a little rhythm and tempo with his wide receivers going.
4 of 7 passing so far. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He'll hand off. Ball is on the ground. St. Just put it on the ground at the end of the run.
The question was whether his knee was down. We can't tell from what we saw, but he obviously came up looking like, where's the ball? I think I lost it.
Yeah, that'd be your biggest visual evidence there, right? And a white jerseyed player comes up with the ball out of the pile. Big relief for Nick Rolovich.
I think somebody flashed in there from the backfield. Let's see. Oh yeah,
it's out
completely. Really right down to the bottom underneath the Cal players. They didn't know it was out there.
Give him 6, 2nd and 4 after he lost 1 on the fumble. As he throws near side. Caught out of bounds. Dylan Collie gets his first grab. The redshirt sophomore from El Dorado Hills, California.
This is vintage spread offense right here. We haven't seen any pistol at all, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did some at some point, but it's primarily just a spread. It's not really the run and shoot because they're not moving the pocket similar to the way. We talked about the pistol here. It looks like they're lining up in it. Oh, they came out.
He hands off. Big hole up the middle. St. Just still going. Can he get the corner? Touchdown, Hawaii.
We're going to watch on the replay because Woolsey is 30 yards down the field, leading the blocking and trying to direct his running back. Cut behind me, which he eventually did.
Well, that was a quick strike drive. And Diosami St. Just into the end zone for the second Rainbow Warrior score.
This is just a simple type of read. They trap inside with the tackle, come down, but Cal's defense inside right now is getting handled, and they're penetrating too far on the outside, so they have nobody to squeeze that hole down.
And there was 11, the quarterback, like you said, waving, come on around, come on around. Sanchez with the point after try, and a tie ball game.
They talked about Diosami was going to put on a show, they thought. He has that speed here. He does a nice job of cutting back, and that's Ikaika right there down the field blocking for him. And he's got the speed and the ability to finish, which is what you want in a great back.
So 3 plays, 64 yards, and a score in 1 minute and 17 seconds. And a 53-yard touchdown run for Diosami St. Just gets the tying score for Hawaii. Dykes is asking about something. A coach talking to a referee about something. Hey, you're not seeing this my way. What's up?
Well, you're right. I think he was discussing. It wasn't the weather, I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I didn't see much that he could be unhappy about, but right now, both offenses seem to be having their way. Hawaii started off a little slow and had the turnover, but they've made up for it with these last 2 series.
You know, 2 things at work here psychologically for both teams, right? Cal the favorite, Hawaii the underdog. If you're Nick Rolovich, you want to be able to create some doubt on the other side. And if you're Cal, maybe that doubt's been created, and now you're Sonny Dykes and you're trying to fight it.
Well, and there's a lot of game left.
Can have a big kick return. Here's Muhammad. All the way out almost to midfield. Well, this is the first ever college football game played in Sydney. It is the 3rd college football game played in Australia. The 2 prior played in Melbourne, UTEP, Wyoming, back 1985, and a couple of years later, BYU and Colorado State teed it up, also in Melbourne. There's been 1 football game played in Sydney. That was an NFL preseason game between the Broncos and the Chargers some years back. Alfani Muhammad looking to go to the house. Almost gets there.
Almost a house call, and he's got that speed. But same thing. I don't think with these offenses, the defenses can never rest a second. You can't take a down off. You can't take a play off. Turn around and you're 50 yards down the field.
Quick strike near side. Hansen, well read though. Nicely defended there. Is that Jalen Rogers again? His jersey is plenty dirty. He's been involved in a lot so far defensively for Hawaii.
He's their best cover guy, but he looks to me to be a great tackler too, coming up in the open field. Talking about the route he wants or the combination on the outside, that signals to his receivers.
Webb with some pressure. Down he goes. Samuela Akuteo with the sack for the Rainbow Warriors.
Nice job. This is just an effort play by Akuteo. He's just continuing to fight, comes around the corner, and then just grabs his jersey really and finally just pulls him to the ground. A good thing because I think the receivers were coming open at that point.
Third and a bunch. But on the ground near side and not get much of that bunch. Yeah, he stepped on the sideline a ways back there. And whistle it dead. Watson kept going. Of course, played till the whistle, right?
Yeah, that was close. That's about inches away from being a touchdown. They're running the speed option here, and you can see this is not something. This is the ball's already pitched right here. Just nice job enough to get the heel. And I'll tell you what, the heel wasn't completely down, but it was over the line for sure.
And so the field goal unit will make the late run onto the field. Matt Anderson, the redshirt junior kicker. Took over the team's kicking duties a year ago and led the team in scoring. He tees it up and snakes it through those specially imported goalposts for this American football game in Sydney.
Where did those goalposts come from?
Those came from the United Kingdom, from the company that does the goalposts for the NFL games in London. Cal shipped a set of goalposts over a couple of months ago for their practice field at the University of New South Wales. All the things you have to think about to have a football game in Australia.
That's crazy. There's a lot of logistics, and especially at a first game basis.
Well, we've been talking about the greatest opening weekend in college football history. Haven't touched on this one yet, but we will now. Number 10, Notre Dame traveling to Austin to take on Texas. It's on ABC Sunday night, 7:30 Eastern. Streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. That is a Sunday of Labor Day weekend, a week from Sunday. What do you think of that one? But besides, who's going to play quarterback for both teams?
Yeah, I don't know. Notre Dame survived some injuries, and they're a very good football team. They got the competition at quarterback, and either guy can play, and I think letting them play early is good. Texas needs a quarterback, whether it's Shane Buechele, the young freshman, but they're a good football team. Charlie Strong is recruited well. They're long and lanky, and I've talked to some coaches who say, wow, watch out. If they get it going on offense, they could be a team that can beat a lot of people.
Change the style of offense a little bit. Is that beast mode back there in the background behind the coaches? Yeah, it is.
I think that is beast mode. I reckon I tried to recruit him out of high school. He was a great running back. I had to coach against him when he played at Cal. It's been fun to watch him do what he does for Seattle.
Taking a yard in the end zone and down there, and Hawaii will come out on the touchback. Torch, we're talking about Marshawn Lynch, who has retired from the NFL, the Cal running back great, and of course the NFL running back great. He's been all over the place in Sydney this week, including with the team. At one point, put on some shoulder pads and made a couple of runs with the scout team.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to tackle him. I mean, that's an unbelievable scout team back right there. I think several of the kids said, wow, I didn't know he was that big. I said, yeah, he's a 230, 240-pound back, and he might be a few pounds over his playing weight right now. I don't think he's quite in shape.
He was out there with an Australian rugby team. He's been with the Cal team at practice. He's really been, Sonny Dykes says, a great ambassador for the program and really cares a lot about Cal football.
If you have an all-pro, a guy that's a proponent of your program, comes back to help you out, that's an amazing thing for recruiting and just understanding how good he must feel about the Cal program.
Ikaika Woolsey throws for Hawaii, complete out to about the 30-yard line. Dylan Collie on the reception. Ikaika Woolsey, the senior, winning the quarterback competition in camp. Coach Nick Rolovich said he took it well, being told he was going into a quarterback competition with a redshirt freshman and a sophomore, but he won the starting job. And despite the one interception earlier in the game, you'd have to say he's performed pretty well.
I think, again, that last catch by Collie was an amazing. He snatched that ball in the air, but I like what they're doing. They're keeping him honest with the run game and then taking short, quick throws. It doesn't put a lot of pressure on the offensive line in terms of protection, and maybe that's Woolsey's strength.
6'1", 215-pounder. The numbers on him for the day. And, of course, this Hawaii offense been riding the back of Diosami St. Just as well, the running back. Haven't seen Paul Harris yet, who was their Offensive Player of the Year last year. But Nick Rolovich has to like what he's seen so far as we come toward the end of this first quarter. Screen to St. Just. Gets away from one, not the rest. And that will stop the clock with 25 seconds to go in this first quarter.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen Harris because he was their big ground gainer last year. And even Lakalaka is supposed to be healthy and back, and he's the one-cut guy, another shit guy on the leadership council, and is their best guy in pass pro. So I assume over the course of the game we may see all the running backs for both teams because they talked about they utilize them differently.
There is Paul Harris, a fifth-year senior, and a timeout taken on the field. So the timeout here with 15 seconds left to go in this first quarter. A look now at this week's AP Top 10 rankings brought to you by Goodyear. The first rankings of the season coming out and showing not too many surprises. A lot of the big name programs at the top of the stack.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's based on what you did last year, how your recruiting class was, how many people you did not have to kick off the team. And Alabama reloaded very well, always does. Clemson, Oklahoma, I love those guys. Florida State, 2 teams from the ACC in the top 4.
Yeah.
And really, you talk about Florida State's schedule, depending on who wins that game, if Clemson were to win, there's the possibility Florida State playing Ole Miss and Florida could come back in the, it'd be interesting. And we talked about the SEC maybe having 2 guys in the playoff. ACC may very well have that opportunity this year.
You stop and you look. Good coverage on that kick. And the Cal will start with its worst field position of the game so far. You talk about the college football playoff already, and everybody's trying to predict which conference gets left out. Which conference gets, well, there's a Power 5. There's 4 places in the college football playoff. If one conference gets 2 spots.
Yeah, and I would tell you that I think the Pac-12 might be in trouble, only because I see a lot of teams there. I think Stanford's a great team, but they have a difficult schedule. USC's a great team. They have a difficult schedule. UCLA is going to be really good. Washington is the surprise pick maybe of the league. And then Oregon, I think some people wrote them off after last year. Watch out, they got a chance. But I think the Pac-12, unfortunately, being a cannibal conference, may not get somebody in the playoff.
They beat each other up all the way through and then get left out at the end. Oh, the things to talk about at the beginning of a fascinating college football season. We're only 1 quarter in, and a close one between Cal and Hawaii, separated by 3 in Sydney. Coach Mike Bellotti, Warren Smith on the sidelines for us, and our ESPN college football crew. It feels so good to get those first reps under your belt, doesn't it?
And it does. And we got a game, which makes me even more excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Davis Webb, graduate transfer from Texas Tech, leading now the Cal Golden Bear Raid offense. Facing Jared Goff, the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft.
I think Cal can take what they want in the running game. Hawaii is a little bit lacking depth up front in the defensive front 7, and Cal's offensive line is 84 career starts between them. They're a veteran group. They put the big tight end in. You can see him there, Malik McMorris, 5'11", 310. Now, that's a guy you don't want to take on in the blocking scheme.
Webb's going to go deep, and just a little too far out in front of Melky Stovall, one of the true freshman receivers. You talk about Cal having to replace the top 6 receivers from last year. Well, he's one of these electric young freshmen that they got a good look at in spring ball and really intrigued a lot of folks.
They're really excited about Melky Stovall, Demetrius Robinson. Those guys have the kind of speed and moves, and they believe that they're going to step right in. It's just a matter of time before they become dominant in the league.
Run on 3rd down. Hawaii right on top of it, though. So another 4th down for Cal. They went for it twice in the game, 2 for 2. They kicked the field goal on the last one. And looks like the kick team is going to come on again for the Golden Bears, but this time it'll be the punt unit.
And understand that when your defense stops somebody, your offense gets fired up. When your offense scores points, the defense gets fired up. So the team feeds on each other. And obviously, as the underdog, Hawaii's got to take advantage of any opportunities they get from a field position standpoint, a momentum standpoint.
John Ursua back to receive Dylan Klump's punt. Will take a bounce and go out of bounds. And Hawaii will take possession of the ball inside its 20-yard line. Just underway, 2nd quarter in Sydney. Cal leads by 3. Hawaii takes over the ball, trailing Cal by 3. Just underway 2nd quarter. Head coach Nick Rolovich has assembled a staff of people very familiar to him. Look at their positions now on his staff, and look at their positions on the 2001 team. Of particular amusement to me, the fact that now offensive coordinator Brian Smith was the center, passing the ball to Rolovich back then.
Your teammates, the guys that you play with, you learn to trust and believe in. If they've gone into coaching, they've obviously talked to each other over time. He wanted to hire him. He brought him back.
Over the middle, receiver not looking around for the ball, falls incomplete. Trying to rebuild this Hawaii program. The Magellan mindset. That's a phrase that Nick Rolovich mentioned to us on the phone. All right, what's the Magellan mindset? Well, when you're Hawaii, to go play anyone, you're leaving the island, and you're probably traveling a long way. And he wanted his team to be free to the exploration of the world through football. He said, you know, you can open the door to the plane and get off and be scared out of your mind, or you can get off and embrace the opportunity.
And I think he's looking for guys that are willing to take that chance to go out, who want to explore, who want to discover, and also coaches that are willing to go anywhere to get the type of player they're looking for.
John Ursua with the grab on the nice pass from Ikaika Woolsey, and a first down for the Bows.
He is their slot receiver, and they call him electric. They feel like he's one of the guys that can make plays, can separate from anybody. Nice catch there. I'm not sure how he got open that much, but nice job at catching the ball.
There's Woolsey with the keep. Something that Brian Smith, the offensive coordinator, told us they were going to begin to sprinkle into the offense a little bit.
Well, because he's a sturdy guy, but he did a great job of getting down to protect himself, his body, and the ball. That's one of the things you teach quarterbacks. No matter how big and tough you think you may be, don't take unnecessary hits.
Tried to get Ursua again down the sideline, but just a little bit overthrown. Yeah, we're talking about exploring the world. Think about Hawaii with this. They're going to play this game in Sydney against Cal. They're going to go back to Honolulu, and then their game next weekend is in Ann Arbor, Michigan, at the Big House against the Wolverines. Jim Harbaugh's team will be fired up and ready to get their season started. They're an intriguing group for this year.
They are. You know, Jim Harbaugh has sort of jumped into the college scene and monopolized or dominated, I guess, the headlines in the offseason, but he put a great team together last year. He's a winning coach. He does a tremendous job, but he's also changed the way people recruit and the satellite camps, the whole deal. I look for Michigan to be one of the top 10 teams in the nation, although I'm not sure they can still handle Ohio State. Not a lot of people know Ohio State other than J.T. Barrett, but they are one of the most talented teams and have had the best recruiting classes, and I would pick them still. In my mind, the Big Ten is Ohio State, maybe Michigan, Michigan State, everybody else. I think with the Wisconsin and Iowa's on the other side, I don't see them. I see Ohio State a lot, but Jim Harbaugh has made that a contest now.
Yeah, that side of the Big Ten is going to be fascinating to watch. Off the hands of the intended receiver, Hager, and incomplete. You know, you think about it, for Michigan and Michigan State and Ohio State, what a round robin there. When we saw the top 10 rankings before, right? Ohio State was at what, number 6, and Michigan was at 7?
Yeah, it's interesting. And one of the things too, you know, it's the way too early rankings, as we all call it, but it's something we love to talk about, love to discuss. It gives us an arguing point, but I think Michigan, as I said, Ohio State, those are the two in my mind from the Big Ten that have a chance, and it's sort of be who wins that game. I think they know that. There's a lot of other teams too, a lot of other conferences we can talk about.
Yeah, it's a fascinating path down through for the Big Ten. Other side of the Big Ten, right? Nebraska showed some promise last year. Of course, Iowa was the one that went through it without losing.
Iowa and Michigan State are both, I think, play great football. They're technically sound. Nebraska is a team that could be the scariest one of all because they lost 5 games by a minuscule amount of points. They have a quarterback coming back. They're athletic. And although they've had some issues, I think, with some players lately, they've had to discipline. But the reality is they athletically can compete with anybody.
Nothing there for Harris. Went into the game on this offensive possession for the Bows. And it brings up 4th down, and this drive stalls out for Hawaii. Fascinating season. So from Sydney to Honolulu and off to Ann Arbor for Nick Rolovich and his team. That game a week from Saturday. So I guess that would be a week from tomorrow in the States, or is it actually part of today already in places in the States? I get this time difference thing mixed up a little bit.
I don't know, but taking your team across the nation is one of the most difficult things, and they do it quite a bit, and they have to do it very well.
Rigoberto Sanchez handles all of the kicking duties for Hawaii. Kickoffs, point after, punting, drops that one inside the 10-yard line. Nicely done by the senior from Hamilton City, California. Cal leads by 3, second quarter in Sydney. Surfing, by the way, this week. They were given a beautiful surfboard at the welcome event. Both coaches were. And Sonny said, I got to try it. So they went out to Bondi Beach, talking to Mike Pawlowski, the Cal radio guy, who happened to go with them. And he was telling me that the water was like a washing machine. It was all churned up. But give him credit, they went out and tried it anyway. He said he thought they all drank about 1.5 gallons of salt water, but they all survived.
Where did a young man from Texas learn how to surf? Maybe he was trying it for the first time. I don't know. If they gave me a brand new surfboard, I might try it. I'd fall off a bunch, I can tell you.
Cal starting from its worst field position for this possession, but Chad Hansen with a 14-yard gain on first down. And they move the sticks out to the 22-yard line. Davis Webb, the Cal quarterback, 10 of 17, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. Khalfani Muhammad has been the offensive star for Cal, if you ask me, so far, because he's had a couple of really big yardage gains and a nice tough yardage gain there for that one.
Yeah, I don't know how he scored it through there. I thought he was going to be tackled for a loss, and he found a way to make 3 or 4 yards more.
Muhammad and Wary Watson, the 3-headed Cal running back rotation. Muhammad has been the most effective of them in the game so far. Gets another try here. This one sniffed out pretty well, though, by the Rainbow Warriors. Turned back inside.
That was a power running look from Cal, but that was an 8-man front from Hawaii. So they're matching power with power, and they're going to stop the run. If they have to bring 8 men up, they're going to do that. And that's what Boston College has done, and then force them to get to passing situations where they can pressure you on 3rd down.
Right. This is what Kevin Lempa, the defensive coordinator, told us was key. Stop them on 1st and 2nd down, and we're coming after them on 3rd. So let's see here.
So Cal's response is to spread them out 5 wides, empty, what they call empty set, and then find the guy that's open quickly.
Webb gets it away, finds the guy near sideline. That's going to be close to 1st down yardage.
Cal's lining up like they got it.
Bug Rivera with the reception. You probably heard of his uncle, Ron.
Yeah.
Had his Carolina Panthers team in the Super Bowl a year ago. They're going to signal 1st down and reset the chains.
I go to Charlotte frequently for my job, and I read a lot about Ron.
I'll bet you do.
And my guy Jonathan Stewart, who played for Oregon, is the running back there.
Yep.
Nice job.
Absolutely. Just a little reset of the clock going on here, which is why the stoppage. They sort things out. All right, here we go. Webb throws a little bit behind Rivera that time and falls incomplete.
The chess match of what you do with an empty set from a defensive standpoint. Right now it looks as if Hawaii's going to choose to pressure and bring one more guy than they can block, so it forces the quarterback to obviously have to get rid of the ball very quickly and very accurately, because it's a quick throw coming out.
The tempo that new offensive coordinator Jake Spavital was trying to bring to the Bear Raid offense. Saw a little confusion there on who should be lined up where.
And oftentimes that's a survey call. They line up like they're going to snap it quickly. They really want to see what the defense is going to do. Then they pick the numbers thing. They don't have enough people in the box. Let's run the ball. That RPO, run pass option. It's what they call from the sidelines. The coaches are looking at it saying, okay, they don't have enough people in the box. Just hand it to the tailback.
A nice gain for Muhammad. They're 2 of 7 on 3rd down are the Golden Bears. Hawaii brings the pressure, and they close up the hole in the line.
That's a great job. This 3rd 3 should be offensive advantage, but Hawaii dominated up front, came off a block, and made the play.
Russell Williams, 44, with the initial contact for Kevin Lempa's group. And job well done by the Hawaii defense to shut down the Cal offense on this possession.
And that's key. Like I said, it's the longer the underdog sticks around, just as you talked about earlier, the more impact it's going to have on the psyche of the favorite.
Create doubt. Dylan Klump. Kick away, a fair catch, signaled for and made by John Ursua, and a flag down on the play. We heard in one of our sideline mics someone yelling, "He can't do that, he can't do that," or at least I heard it.
I think you're right, and it might have been something about the way the guy attacked the back wall, jumping up over the top.
All right, so referee Michael Mothershead and the Pac-12 officiating crew will get together and let us know.
Personal foul, leaping, defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. That's an automatic first down.
Penalties and turnovers. Nothing good comes from them. And in that case, where you had stopped Cal and were getting possession of the ball, now Cal is going to get another look at things. The ball, retains possession of it with 8:07 to go in this second quarter and a 3-point lead. Webb with time, he'll run and slide. Not a ton of rule changes in college football this year, but one of the rule changes is now that a sliding ball carrier is now considered to be a defenseless player. Right. So you got to make sure you don't lay a licking on that guy when he's sliding feet first to the ground like that.
Once he goes into that slide, he is protected. Correct. Cal's been a little stagnant recently on offense. They need to take advantage of this field position to translate it to points.
First down yardage there. Trey Watson on the ground. He'll get inside the 35-yard line. Nice run for the junior from Corona, California. Had a big finish to last year. Averaged 89.8 yards per game in the last 4. How about this one? Last year the team was 6-1 when he had at least 8 carries, 2-4 when he did not. That was just his 3rd carry of the game so far. The throw to the outside to Chad Hansen.
Chad Hansen, the coaches called it. They said they really looked for big things from him this year, and they thought he was the leader of that young group. He was telling everybody where to go, what to do, but also the quarterbacks had a lot of confidence in him as a receiver.
Stacked receivers on both sides here.
Double stack. Well, let's run the ball up inside. Yeah.
Spread them out, run with or not, right?
Exactly. I'll tell you what, most of people think that when I was at Oregon, I went to the spread offense so we could throw the ball more. I didn't. I went to it so we could run the ball more efficiently, more effectively from the spread, option, zone read. Oregon has led the Pac-12 in rushing since 2006 every single year. They had done it previously in 1950, the year I was born. So that's why you spread people out, to create bigger seams, to run the ball.
Off the hands of Melky Stovall, and he took a pop there while trying to pull that one in. The true freshman from Lancaster, California. Yeah, it's fascinating you talk about that, because really isn't what offensive football all about is deception.
Absolutely. I think, well, if you have the best, biggest, fastest, strongest athletes, you can run when people know you're going to run. You can throw when people know you're going to throw. If you don't, then if you put the little bit of doubt in the mind of the defender about whether you are running the ball or throwing the ball, that slight hesitation can give the offense a significant advantage.
Nick Wharton with the grab, just shy of first down yardage though, spotted when he came back to get the ball. So a 3rd and short here for Cal, who have struggled to convert on 3rd down in this game so far. Get the playoff. I was just thinking they were just waiting and waiting and waiting. And by the time he reached down with that signal to the center, the play clock was less than 2 seconds. They called the timeout, gave him the timeout.
The coach from the sideline saw it and they called it. And that's one of the things, even though Davis Webb is an experienced quarterback, he's not experienced in this system. So he's trying to process, and they're trying to get the right play and trying to audible based on what the front of Hawaii was doing. And I don't know, it looks as if coach is asking, hey, how come that was called, or why did I have to do it? When's the clock being reset? All those type of things.
All right, well, while they sort that out, coach continues his conversation with the referee. We'll talk about the best opening weekend ever in college football. It is this week. Look at the lineup of games. Pick one. You probably want to pick them all to watch because they're all terrific. Starting with Oklahoma, Houston, concluding with Florida State and Ole Miss from Orlando. All coming up in the next week and a couple days on the ESPN networks and on ABC.
Timeout saved the 3rd and 1 situation, which is much better than 3rd and 6.
Nice run by Vickenwary to get first down yardage. He was met behind the line of scrimmage initially and kept powering forward to pick it up.
He made himself skinny and lowered his pads. And that's what you ask a back to do in a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situation, is change the angle of your shoulders and stay low with your pads.
Malik McMorris there, 99. Picks up his block, throw toward the corner of the end zone. Defender looked around for the ball, no flag.
Great play. Jalen Rogers, tremendous play in coverage. Almost had a chance to intercept that ball. In fact, the receiver became a defender and pulled him out of the way. This is a pressure situation. This is the back shoulder throw. Pretty well executed, just great defense.
So 2nd down and goal from the 9-yard line. Watson again fights his way through. He'll get down to the 5 before he's taken down. It'll bring up 3rd and goal from the 5 for Cal.
And they use these backs at Cal, Trey Watson, Vickenwary, Khalfani Muhammad, based on who gets hot, you know, who's healthy, what plays they want to run, and it's sort of interesting to see the utilization. They've got great balance and great depth there at the running back position.
Jake Spavital, the new offensive coordinator, alongside Coach Sonny Dykes, watching his offense. Try and go for it here. 3rd down and 5. Met in the backfield for no gain. The Hawaii defense up to the task.
Well, the pass fake didn't stop the guys coming off the edge. That was a blitz all the way by Hawaii's defense. They obviously trust their corners in man-to-man coverage because that was a man blitz.
Jelani Tavai there, 31 with the contact and the stop. So now it's 4th down and goal, and the field goal unit on Matt Anderson. The left footer out of the hold of punter Dylan Plum.
Even though you're going to get points, this doesn't feel as good for Cal. This is one of those moral victories for the Hawaii defense to keep them from getting in the end zone.
So 2nd successful field goal for Anderson, a 6-point lead for Cal, 20-14. You and let him get the 3.
Exactly. You mentioned the Hawaii penalty, which was crucial. It still allowed them, Cal, to get points on the board.
Noah Beto kicks off. Hawaii's going to bring it out. Ball is loose. Keelan Ewaliko was hit hard. Flag is down. We'll check the marker. Cal has the ball off the fumble.
Check out what the penalty is. I'm not sure. It came with that big collision of the 2 or 3 guys. I don't know if there was helmet to helmet or there was some type of face mask. We'll see.
Holding number 58 and holding number 38. Those penalties are declined. 1st down.
That's big. So Keelan Evaliko for Hawaii gets popped
on the receiving team.
He was carrying that ball awfully loosely, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. And unfortunately, when you don't want to go up in the air unless you're trying to score a touchdown. You want to protect the ball. He also flew his arm out away from the body, which is one of the no-nos that you do as a running back or returner. And those Cal ball hawk went right for it. They got that ball out clean. The penalties were back against Hawaii holding much before that.
Ron Brown with the hit that knocked the ball loose. Trey Watson. Is that Watson? No, that's Chad Hansen, who quickly makes the Bows pay for the penalty and the fumble.
Well, Cal came up with a great call there, getting the pressure look, getting all the press coverage. They ran a little widescreen where they go out and block the guy covering the receiver. He comes back in, and once you break clean that jailbreak screen, that's exactly the way that finished for them. A jailbreak all the way for a touchdown.
34 yards from Webb to Hansen. And now Matt Anderson on for the point after try.
That's that quick strike offense that Cal, the air raid, bear raid.
Turnovers don't generally lead to anything good, and this one certainly didn't for Hawaii.
Let's take a look at the top of your screen here. You're going to watch the receiver go out and block for the other guy, and then the ball is out real quick. They've got 3 receivers to the field. It's that empty set that we talked about. We're going to look right here. So you just go out and block, and that's all he does, come back in. The linemen get in front, and they make the great block right there. And then there's nobody there. Once, because the other defenders had come out to cover the 3 guys down at the bottom of the field.
They've gotten away with a lineman downfield on that one.
Well, that pass is thrown, though, at the line of scrimmage, so the lineman can actually be downfield. That's why defenders hate screen plays, because linemen can come down and block, and they see a pass, but if the pass is completed behind the line of scrimmage, as we talked about. Here you can see look off. Nice job of looking off by Davis Webb. There's the pass. And those guys, once the initial screen gets started, it's very difficult to stop. If you can stop it before he gets that head of steam, you got a chance.
Now Chad Hansen having a big day for Cal. His 9th reception for 101 yards into the end zone. And Davis Webb delivered for the Golden Bears. So Hawaii will get another chance on a kick return here. As Beto boots it deep. Take it on the 5. It's Evaliko again. Covers that ball up as he gets into traffic this time, didn't he?
Exactly right. That's what he was taught to do. And I'm sure that the coaches on the sideline were saying, hey, if you want to stay in there, take care of the football. Possession of the football is the most important thing.
Numbers on Ikaika Woolsey, the Hawaii quarterback in this one so far. What have you thought of their offensive performance in the first half?
I've been pleased. I think, again, he's completing not too much greater than last year, but he's had a couple drops, had a couple passes thrown under pressure. But I think the fact that they have scored some points, they obviously need a response now, because a 2-score game at this point, they have 3:35. We'll see if they can get one in before the end of the half.
Asami St. Just again on the carry. Knocked down by Raymond Davison for Cal.
The thing with a no-huddle team, 3 minutes, 23 seconds doesn't need to be hurried. You've got plenty of time there. I believe that they still have 2 timeouts left, so there's plenty of time here to move the ball down the field the way that you want.
Yeah, Hawaii with 2 timeouts, Cal with 1 left. The last thing you want to do is make another mistake and turn the ball over with still 3 minutes or so to go on the clock to Cal by hurrying things along faster than you need to.
Well, it's also risk reward. You want to score. You worry about, do I try a play that may not succeed or that might have a turnover potential? But the reality is, when you're behind, I think you think, how do I score? How can I get the ball down the field?
And as far as what kind of offense are we going to see from Hawaii this year, I think so far it's been answered that it's going to be spread it out, but be patient and hand the ball off a lot.
No question. And then run some, well, they're going to try and come back with the same screen that just got them play before. A little bit of play action, but we haven't seen any pistol. They lined up in it once and shifted out of it. So not that Coach Rolovich won't at some point use that, but they have been primarily spread here, shotgun, and obviously the spread style offense.
Hawaii's put up 222 yards of total offense in the half. They only averaged about 448 last year for a game. So for as successful as the first half has been, they're still right about on the same target total yardage wise as they were last year.
Yeah, I think it's just more, let's see how they finish this game. It's how you start it, but at the old adage of it's how you finish. I think we'll sort of see what adjustments they can make at halftime. Can they get some type of score on the board here, or certainly not allow Cal to get any more points? But they've got to try to cut this down if they can.
3 of 5 on third down, 2 minutes to go. Just the running back. Woolsey to throw. Under pressure. Threw it at the feet of the receiver Ursua, coming to the inside, and it'll bring up 4th down for the Rainbow Warriors.
He'd like to have that pass again. That should have been completed. Had he been able to put that ball on the running back, he'd have probably gotten the 1st down or more. And it's just one of those things that's a repetition thing. That's an excitement thing. He's got to take a deep breath and come back ready to play.
So the punt team on for Hawaii. And again, that unique situation of Rigoberto Sanchez, who does not only the field goal kicking and the place kicking, but the punting. Slip there by Vic Wharton, and Cal will take the ball with 1:42 to go. So it's been like a bowl game at the start of the season for Hawaii and Cal and Sydney. There are the surfboards presented at the opening thing, experiencing some Australian culture, learning about the Aborigines, experiencing a little rugby, and of course checking out some of the creatures that you don't have around the stateside parts very much.
I'd like to see him box a kangaroo. Do they ever do that? Talk about that.
I don't think I'd want to do that.
I wouldn't want to do it. I want to see somebody else do it.
Webb throws, crunch, but caught and held on to. Melky Stovall, the true freshman receiver, with the reception. Right back to the line come the Golden Bears, trying to make the most of this last minute and a half in the first half. Webb outside, caught.
They're not going to rest on this score, and they are going full speed tempo now. We got a couple of completions. They're going to try and get down a minimum field goal territory, if not try to put a touchdown on the board.
Hansen with a 2nd consecutive catch. Couldn't turn the corner and get away.
The defense did just what you want to do, tackle them inbounds at less than the 1st down marker. That keeps the clock running. That's your ally, the sideline and the clock here.
Flag going to come in on this one, and we'll check the penalty. Talking about at least get a field goal. Matt Anderson's career long is 48, so to get that one, you've got to get the ball down to about the 31-yard line.
And there's a flag right here. I think it's pass interference or holding.
Holding. Number 19 defense. 10-yard penalty. That's an automatic 1st down.
Jalen Rogers, who has been certainly prominent in the Hawaii defense in this one. California. 50 seconds to go. Ball shy of midfield, 47-yard line. That was a little bit of a disjointed looking play.
One of the things now, you sort of say 1st down, touchdown, out of bounds, or throw it away, because the clock becomes your enemy. We talked about the fact that Cal still has a timeout left, but they typically may want to save that if they get caught somehow. They'll have to burn it if they get sacked.
You know, one of the things I'm thinking about right now, I wonder how many of the Australian fans sitting in these grandstands understand what's going on with the timeout strategies and so on. Nice run all the way down deep into Hawaii territory for Vic Wharton.
Vic Wharton did a great job there because he tiptoed the sidelines, and twice he could have stepped out of bounds. He made the guy miss, stayed in bounds and kept his feet going. That was a huge play because that got them a lot of yardage. Now they got chances to do what they want to do.
Timeout for Cal. And by the way, they're in field goal range already. Second career catch for Vic Wharton.
They're going to be talking about the plays that they'll run now. They have no timeouts left, so they're going to talk about the need to take some shots, be ready to spike the ball, that type of thing to stop the clock. So they've got a group of plays they're going to talk about running down here. Depending on this, you run this, and then think about spiking the ball. Don't take a sack.
All right, so see what the Cal coaches come up with here as they get ready to come out for these final 37 seconds. So from each side, Coach, what are you talking about at halftime? Let's start with Cal.
Well, I think Cal didn't have a good start. They've been helped by some penalties and turnovers by Hawaii. So the reality is they got to play a little stouter on defense. Got to clean up some of the protection issues. Hawaii needs to not make mistakes. Penalties and turnovers have hurt them dramatically in this game. It's probably an even game with the exception of the 2 turnovers.
Into the hands, was it held on to, of Kanawai Noa. And the ball down inside the 10-yard line to the 7. Oh, tripped over his feet. Had Noah try to run the curl, and he just tripped over the feet of the defender and went down.
Second down, and you've got 16 seconds. You're thinking 6 to 8 seconds per play, depending on how snapped and how quickly the quarterback gets rid of it. So you're taking about some timing routes, throwing them into the end zone, the fade route, the back shoulder throw, things like that.
Flag. Ball out of the reach of either the defender or the receiver, but Hawaii's going to get tagged with offsides here, and the ball's going to get a bit closer to the goal line.
Yeah, half the distance to the goal probably. 13 seconds, got to be a little bit aware.
Offside, number 44 defense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
4th penalty of the game on Hawaii.
So you can get 3 downs in if you get the ball thrown quickly and the play called blown dead quickly. A long run cannot happen if it takes too much time off the clock if it's going laterally.
They got something going on in the trips down low here. Webb's going to try and keep it. And powers his way into the end zone for the touchdown.
The big fella just pulled the rest of them in. He got a little help from one of his players who helped push the pile in. That's a huge play for Cal to come down and get that score before the end of the first half. It drives a stake in Hawaii's heart. It's a longer way back now.
You just finished talking about you can't have the long run, and when Webb first got stacked up, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, and then he found a way to push it in. And Anderson's point after try is a good one.
Against a pressure defense where they're coming with inside pressure, you love to run the speed option. This is going to the right. You see they're not going to block that outside guy. He does a great job right there, although he slips off the tackle, and Webb is high enough and tall enough, just carried the ball in. Had he pitched it, the other guy might have gone in by himself right here, but the nice scrape by the safety though. So he did the right thing, and his own momentum, his strength, carried it in the end zone.
Nice that shoulder on Damian Packer, the safety, and pushed his way through into the end zone. So 34-14 for Cal with 7 seconds to go before halftime. First half numbers on Davis Webb: 20 of 32, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That Cal drive, 8 plays, 85 yards, and of course the 28-yard pass to Vic Wharton was the key one in that drive that allowed Cal to increase their lead going to the locker room.
That was the play. Wharton's play was the one that set this whole thing up. Amazing job tiptoeing the sidelines. Cal with 347 yards already in the first half.
Yeah. And yet it started out kind of sluggish, and for a while didn't appear to be going at their normal speed. There's the squib kick. And downed. And Hawaii will get one final shot at it with 6 seconds to go. So coming up at halftime, we'll talk about the best kickoff weekend ever in college football. You heard Jonathan Vilma say the game he wanted to see the most was Ole Miss and Florida State. That's the capper to the weekend. The weekend that starts with, among other games, Oklahoma and Houston. We'll see LSU, Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina. That's a good one. That's going to be a fascinating game to watch. And the one that's getting overshadowed by a lot, Clemson and Auburn. What an opening weekend matchup down in the Plains.
It will be. Clemson has lost some talent, but they've got great offense. And Deshaun Watson is certainly the best quarterback coming back from last year in the nation. I love this whole thing. I tell you what, it's just fun. It's going to be fun to watch. Auburn, you know, Gus Malzahn is a little bit on edge right now, and he's got to happen. But that sometimes when that's the case, the players will respond for it.
Malzahn named his starting quarterback today. That and more, I'm sure, part of the halftime discussion as we look at the best opening weekend ever in college football, with halfway through the opening game of the college football season. It's a 34-14. So good for Sonny Dykes and his troops. And Ikaika Woolsey and the Hawaii team getting ready to come back out and see if they can put some more points on the boards and get it going. Beautiful high 60-degree day in Sydney.
Perfect weather for football.
Yeah.
Perfect weather.
Beautiful. Scattering some birds as they put the ball back in play. And a little slip on the attempted cut. And Hawaii will take over the ball inside its own 20-yard line at the 16. Let's check down on the field with Warren Smith. Hi, Warren.
Hi, Alan. Here we are, not be far from the Hawaii bench, of course, and spoke to Coach Rolovich as they came out of the locker rooms at halftime. Coach, he touched on it. Well, they've just got to get their hands on the ball. The penalties and the turnovers are killing the Rainbow Warriors at the moment. Of course, it's wearing down their defense because they're spending so much time on the field as a result of those mistakes. If they can limit those mistakes, you never know. They might be able to get themselves back into this game, but they just have to keep their hands on the ball.
Hi, Warren, thanks. They got their hands on the ball now to start this third quarter. Ikaika Woolsey to throw out to Diosami St. Just, eludes a couple. And a beautiful first play from scrimmage for the Rainbow Warriors.
Well, they know who to go to. If you want some instant explosion, put the ball in Diosami's hands. And that's a short little pass, 5-6 yard throw that goes for about 30 or 40 yards.
34 to be specific. He was at 98 yards at the end of the first half, so up over 100 yards already in his return to play for the redshirt junior from Boynton Beach, Florida, Diosami St. Just.
And what Warren had talked about, you know, part of Hawaii's plan is obviously to score points, but it's also keep their defense off the field, but let them rest, so control the ball offensively, have a little time of possession.
Paul Harris looking a little bit worse for wear as he comes off the field.
Wonder if that's why he hasn't played quite as much. He might have had something coming in because we expected to see him just a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, so Harris, the fifth-year senior, out. Woolsey throws near side. John Ursua has been a favorite target of his today. As Harris continues to try and work that what looks like shoulder free. I'm all right. I'm all right. Trying to push his way back toward the front of the sideline.
Well, yeah, he came down on that. And the one thing on that last throw by Woolsey, he looked like he was sort of steering the ball. And when you're behind a little bit, you're a little worried about throwing. You got to cut it loose. As a quarterback, you have to just let it go, feel good about it, trust your receivers to find the football. Running
for the marker and gets there.
Nice job. And I see them doing more of this with him this year. He may not be the best pure pocket passer, but he can run, he can move, put him some run pass opportunities, run pass option opportunities at the edge where he can attack the defense and either dump it off to somebody or use his feet and make some yards.
Harris back up with the helmet on. And Hawaii with a fresh set of downs at the 39-yard line. Going for it, and a flag. Not much to that. Receiver kind of dumped out of bounds by Marleshon Franklin for Cal.
And doing that when the ball is in the air is an automatic penalty. They were hand fighting at the line of scrimmage. That's
pass interference. Number 18, defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. That's an automatic first down.
That's what we sort of call that press coverage. And there, the strike, the ball is in the air. You can see that. I don't know if that was just, hey, I'm a little bit tired. Can I take this play off? Get out of my way, will you?
So the penalty gives Hawaii the first down at the 24-yard line. Woolsey throws again, far side, caught. I don't know, they'll say he was juggling as he fell out of bounds. Kemp juggling the ball as he went over the mountain.
It's too bad. That was a nice throw and nice timing. This is thrown on a line, and here we can see, well, yeah, obviously his seat hits down out of bounds, and he still has not got possession of that football.
Head linesman Kirk Matson there, right on top of the call.
This is not what Cal wanted coming out. I will tell you, you can't get comfortable with a 20-point lead.
Yeah.
You have to play the half like it's 0-0, and I'm sure Coach Dykes talked about that at halftime.
Mikhailovich jumps in, calls timeout. Play clock down to 2. And so the first of the timeouts will be spent very early in this third quarter.
This is a very important drive for Hawaii.
Yep.
Talk a lot about, okay, we're behind, guys, but we got to set the tone in the first drive of this second half. And conversely, Cal's defense has talked about the same thing, but right now, Hawaii has got some breaks, made some plays, but they need to get a score on the board.
You just had 17 straight points scored against you. You want to get your guys a little juiced up, a little wound up, and back into this thing. And the way you do that is put some points on the board right off the go here.
And both of these offenses have the capacity to score a lot of points and score them in a hurry. So you have to be very careful about how you approach this, and you have to keep the mindset that the game is 0-0. There is no lead in this game.
So from the 24-yard line on 2nd and 10. Micah Woolsey will keep it, but won't get far.
Design quarterback run that didn't go very far. The nice job by the Cal defense up front. They fought off the blocks. They didn't fall into their pass rush technique where they'd run up the field and open it up for the quarterback. I don't know if Hawaii's going to get in the red zone, which typically is crossing the 20-yard line, but the difference in the first half was Cal was perfect, 4 for 4 in the red zone. Hawaii's hoping to get some chances here.
Stopping the run was an area of emphasis for Cal defensive coordinator Art Kaufman for this season. Woolsey's going to throw on this one into the end zone, and it'll get knocked away. Good defense back there by Marleshon Franklin, one of many newcomers on this Cal defensive side of the ball.
Just slightly underthrown, but a very great defensive play to come back. You see him find the ball right there, the hand fighting. He just gets a hand across, which helps deflect the ball slightly, or the receiver's eyes. But great job of defense. That's the way you come back in the play. Find the receiver and then find the ball.
So on 4th down and 10, it'll be Rigoberto Sanchez on for the field goal try. And he knocks it through. And Hawaii at least gets 3 out of that one to stop the 17 straight run that Cal had scored. 34-17 in Sydney. The American college football season. And in the third quarter, Cal leads Hawaii by 34-17. Alfani Muhammad, who's had a pretty good game so far for the Golden Bears, takes it out across the 28-yard line as we again look ahead to the best ever opening week for college football. And the first game that comes to mind, Oklahoma-Houston, number 3 against number 15, and a matchup of a couple of spectacular quarterbacks.
Two difference makers for their team. Baker Mayfield, sort of the gritty riverboat gambler, and Greg Ward, the guy that you better stop because he can beat you with his feet or his arm, and he is fast, a converted wide receiver, but really has helped Tom Herman put that program on the map.
They really have done a lot of work in a short period of time, right? Tom just did his first year at Houston last year and ran them through into the New Year's 6 spot for the group of 5 conferences, and then they put a whipping on Florida State in Atlanta that I know you called. It was impressive.
Yeah, they not only got there, but they sealed the deal. They finished the job, and they looked impressive doing it. They've lost some people up front, so it's going to put more pressure on Greg Ward and the offensive play callers, but they still have talent. But Oklahoma has answers at every position. They literally are one of the most talented teams, and you got Samaje Perine and Mixon in the backfield, and I mean, they are loaded. But Baker Mayfield is the guy that makes it go.
What do you make of the conversation that I've heard a lot in the course of the build-up to this season, that every time Oklahoma's highly touted to start the year, it doesn't pay off, and every time they're kind of down the rankings to start the year, here they come.
Well, I agree with you. I've seen that. I've heard that. I think this is the year they lay that to rest, to be honest with you. Although, you know, people say that Baylor is dead and gone now with the coaching change, but Jim Grobe is a very, very good football coach, and they still have tremendous talent at the skilled positions. And Oklahoma State and TCU aren't going to go away very easily. So Oklahoma's going to have a hard road to hoe, and some work cut out for them.
Find it hard to look ahead and see any scenario where the Bedlam game at the end of the season doesn't mean a lot.
It always means a lot to them, but it might mean a lot in terms of the league and potentially the national playoff.
Absolutely. Houston and Oklahoma coming up as part of this big opening kickoff week, as part of its opening drive in the second half. Davis Webb and Cal moving down the field pretty efficiently. Already inside of Hawaii territory at the 43-yard line. Webb on this one, 22 of 34. A couple of touchdowns, no interceptions, 243 yards passing, and a few more. Bud Rivera fighting for some yards after catch.
Just and not great tackling there. You got to get those guys down, but that's the idea and concept of this offense. Spread people out, throw the ball, get in the way of the defenders, and then let the guy work one-on-one in the open field. Davis Webb got to be happy getting back, getting playing time, being the guy and the starter with this kind of talent around him.
4 of 11 on third down. Cal in this game so far. Hand it off and have first down yardage from Vic Nwaneri.
I could tell that was Nwaneri because the pile moved. He's the biggest back there, 240 pounds, and that's a load coming downhill.
Check the flag here. Sonny Dykes wants the flag check too, with that shrug of the shoulders. And what's going on here?
Well, it looked like a Cal offensive lineman tapped his head like my mistake, and it's either a hold or a late hit or something, but it was seemed to come out a little bit late in the play.
Coming in late to the pile, and yeah.
The result of the play is a first down. After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 17 offense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Penalty on Vic Wharton, one of the outside receivers for Cal. So
one of the things in the spread offense, it'll only go if the receivers are willing to block. And it's very important that they are very physical. And so a lot of times you're blocking with your back to the ball. You don't know it, and you continue to hit and strike after the whistle, which is difficult. But he's probably getting talked to just a little bit on the sideline now.
He kind of is raising his hands like, wait a minute, what did I do too? So Webb throws, and it's caught. And a big game for Chad Hansen continues as he makes up all the penalty yardage and then some.
That's a big play, because offensively, when you get a penalty like that, you're just trying to get back to a manageable situation. But that's a nice job of recapturing that yardage.
Webb into the middle for Jordan Vesey.
Right now, you're noticing, too, there's not a lot of pressure on Webb. He's getting rid of the ball quickly, but the fatigue factor is setting in for the Hawaii defense, and he's having the time to do sort of what he wants. And as this continues, if Cal can continue to get first downs and take the ball down the field, you're going to see less resistance from Hawaii.
Trying to bring some pressure from the edges, but picked up into the end zone. Touchdown! And his first for Cal from Melquise Stovall, the freshman.
That may have been a double move route just based on how open the receiver was, but great protection. There was a pressure situation. They brought a safety or an outside linebacker off the edge. You see the pressure coming from the left side of your screen. Like I said, I think it was a slant and go, maybe a sluggo type route, because obviously the DB got beat and probably had his eyes in the backfield.
So this run that the Cal offense has been on from the beginning of the second quarter continues into the third. And Matt Anderson knocks the point after try through to extend the lead, now to 41-17. Happy times down under for those with the Cal blue and gold on that made the trip. Some 7,400 miles to Sydney. Davis Webb to Melquise Stovall for the 6. First college football Saturday of the season, as they've gone up on Hawaii 41-17. So Noah Beto going to kick off to Hawaii. He had a nice drive on its opening possession of this third quarter, but had to settle for 3. Zevalino slips and falls, and Hawaii will start at the 16-yard line. So among the marquee games coming up in this opening week, Alabama and Southern Cal in Arlington. And of course, Nick Saban, 4 national championships in the last 7 years at Alabama, pursuing another one and starting this season at the top of the pile where the rankings are concerned.
He may be the best ever, and I know he's one of the best coaches to have a team stay focused after a big win or a big loss. That's why he's won 4 national championships. He does a tremendous job. And as we talked about earlier, most teams, if you didn't have a quarterback coming back, I would say I would be worried about him. I'm never worried about Alabama. They have enough talent to go around. Plus, they do a great job with first-year quarterbacks.
Who will be the starter, and what will the situation be when they line up across the ball from SC? Here's Stephen Lakalaka, who gets his first carries for Hawaii. You know, talk about Alabama. Let's talk about the SEC for a minute. We touched on some of the other conferences. Start in the East. Georgia, Tennessee, Florida. Who wins the East?
You know, I think the odds makers predict Tennessee. I think they feel like Butch Jones has put together a tremendous team, talented team. Joshua Dobbs, the quarterback. But I like Florida. I think Florida, don't count out that group. Luke Del Rio going to be the quarterback. Now, he couldn't win the starting job at Oregon State, but I think defensively and athletically, Florida has to always be considered. I thought McElwood did a great job coaching last year. Georgia has some injuries right now, and Kirby Smart, great coach, but first year, I'm not sure I can go with that. On the other side now, we talked about Alabama, but I sort of like LSU too. I think everybody talked about the fact, you know, Les Miles was on the chopping block at the end of last year. Here he is now projected to maybe win the SEC and be in the national playoff. And then the other team that I don't know about, and you may, is Ole Miss, because they've had some issues, obviously. Signing day, I mean, all that stuff with Tunzel. But the reality is they got a great quarterback coming back in Chad Kelly, who says he may be the best quarterback in the nation. He'll have a chance, in my mind, to prove that this year.
They have certainly got some talent down there in Oxford. The question again is, you know, the experience that they lost. Running back, receiver, offensive line, they've replaced it with talent, but not as much experience in a couple of positions. So we'll see what Ole Miss has got. And at LSU, you know, people have been talking about Leonard Fournette. Last year, if you stopped Leonard Fournette, you kind of had a chance. Well, a couple things. Obviously, they're going to have to count on Brandon Harris to throw the ball more, the Tigers are. And the other thing is, when I was down there last year, I had a couple games at LSU last year. And I remember Cam Cameron looking at us in one of our meetings pregame and saying, this kid Darius Geis don't look past him because he's going to be a big talent. Well, he was a true freshman last year. Got some experience now carrying the ball. Bet you we see him a little more in balance with Fournette earlier in the season to save some of that muscle for later in the year.
Like they need another great running back at LSU.
Exactly.
I mean, the LSU will only go as far. Fournette is a tremendous back. Maybe one of the best I've ever seen for the speed and the size and the power. He can do it all. But Brandon Harris, the quarterback position, has to come through for LSU to really be a contender.
They've got some receivers to throw it to.
Oh yeah, Malachi Dupree, Draven Doral.
Yep.
Yeah, those guys are NFL ready.
So Hawaii continuing to string together this drive. Here's another thing, back to the SEC and the East, right? To me, the key game to the whole sequence, I know there's a lot of football to be played on a lot of levels. Tennessee's got to beat Florida, because there's that psychological thing there, right? They had them last year and let it get away.
It's been a while since they've come through and won that game.
It's been a decade, basically.
You know, the flip side of that game, the Alabama SC game, USC, I think it's interesting. Clay Helton is a coach's coach. He's a guy that he doesn't want to do anything else. He just coaches. And maybe for the first time, they'll have less waves made within the program, more just about the players themselves. Let them play football. They have talent. They have an exceptional roster. They've got a full roster now.
Yeah.
But, you know, I still think they just have to prove that is SC really back, and Alabama will be a great test.
Even if they don't win the game against Alabama, and I know there are no moral victories, but given Alabama a close, hard game on the national stage on opening weekend will do a lot for the statement that we're back.
There's no question. If it's a well-contested game, it will not knock either team, if whoever would lose, out of the playoff, because they'll both have a chance to come back and win their league. It's the kind of games I love to see. As a coach, I think that, and as a fan out there, you want to see big games against real teams, not the warm-ups that some of these teams take.
Now think about this. We got Alabama and Southern Cal playing. It's not in the national championship game. It's on opening weekend. How great is that?
It's good.
You know?
The fans are going to be treated. That opening weekend, that lineup is unbelievable.
Lakalaka getting some carries and some yardage on this drive for Hawaii. The senior from Honolulu.
And I can't tell. We talk about there's a natural response when you get up a certain amount to relax a little bit. I don't know if Cal has substituted, has already started some substitution. It looks like a different defense in there right now because Hawaii is just doing what they want. Maybe Lakalaka, the style of his running, is hurting them, but they need to respond. Cal needs to respond, or Hawaii's going to come back and put some points on the board.
Good job, Luke. Good job.
Just looking down through the depth chart, and there are a number of twos in the ball game for Cal, and maybe even a couple of threes.
I noticed they just substituted some defensive linemen, so I don't know if they're putting the first team back in, saying, hey, wait a second, guys, we're not going to let them go that fast down the field.
Yeah, 95 Devontae Wilson just back in. First time we've called his number in the game. He's the near side down lineman. And he'll be in on the tackle as John Ursua comes back in to the center. Devontae Wilson, what a story he is for Cal. Fifth-year senior out of Corona, California, recruited by Southern Cal. And before he went to Southern Cal, was playing pickup basketball and injured his knee, tore his ACL. Went through the whole rehab process, got back in a drill before the start of what would then become his redshirt season. He tore his other ACL, so tore them both. Wound up losing his scholarship, was getting ready to give up football, ended up getting a call and going to Riverside College and playing for a couple of years. Series of events then transpired to change his life. Met his girlfriend that became eventually now his wife. She suddenly was expecting after a period of time, and he was ready to give up football, go get a job. And she said, no, this is your dream. Keep after it. You can do this. And he kept after it. All of a sudden, he got a call from Cal to come to Berkeley and play. They're now married. They got married this summer. They have a beautiful young daughter. There's some great pictures out there online of the wedding that was held at City Hall on July 25th. But he's pursued his football dream all the way through, thanks to the support and this circle that's now his family.
And I remember that we asked him, you know, you have all these jobs and have to wear all these hats. You're a father, you're a husband, you're a student athlete. What's the hardest of all those things? And I thought he'd probably say father or husband. He said student athlete.
Yeah.
No question. That's the toughest job in the world. And when you think about trying to put all those things together, about what time you need to spend with your wife and with your child and all the studying and all the practice, it is a daunting task.
Yeah, absolutely. He's back in now as they try and stop the Hawaii drive that just picked up a first down. Ball's on the 20-yard line. As Hawaii looks to keep this thing in the realm of the respectable. Ikaika Woolsey with time and throws into a crowded corner of the end zone, and it falls incomplete. Yeah, he's talking to Devontae Wilson, and just to tie up one more angle on that story, asked him the most distance he'd ever been from home. He thought about it for a second, and then he said, I went to UAB, Birmingham, on a recruiting trip. That's the greatest distance I've ever been from home. Well, now he's in Sydney, Australia, playing football in Cal's season opener. What an experience. And it's one of the things that Sonny Dykes was so big on about this whole week. You got the opportunity to give a lot of these young men who've never been away from home at all an experience like this. Of course you got to take it.
You do, and there were about a million other reasons too, but the reality is it's tremendous. One of the things that happens when you get ahead late in the game is you, on defense, you're trying to decide, okay, I want to play a lot of people, I want to get them experience, but I don't want to let the other team score. So you try to mix a blend of veterans and young guys in there and try to make sure that you appeal to the pride of the defense to not let them get in the end zone. But you want to get them meaningful snaps. They'll be on film so they can learn and evaluate each other and get better.
One of the things that stood out to me about the Cal depth chart when it came out, most schools, when they put out the depth chart, it's called a 2D. There are two players listed at most every position. Cal's had about 4 or 5 at a lot of them, and particularly on defense. They've got a lot of guys that they're trying to figure out who are going to be those 2s and 3s for them as we go through this season.
Well, they brought, I assume, everybody on the team. This is like a bowl game, and one.
There's the Hawaii touchdown. Stephen Lakalaka into the end zone for the Bows.
He just carried the ball down the field. They're going to probably say, why didn't we play him a little bit earlier?
9 carries for 58 yards, all on this drive.
And again, just power football. This is gap schemes that they talked about, running some more gap scheme stuff and putting the ball straight ahead. Let him do what he does best. One cut guy. Just put the foot in the ground and get north and south.
Sanchez knocks the try through and run the Hawaii point total up to 24. 2 minutes left, third quarter. The college football opener in Sydney. No.
Oh,
they don't have.
I might be in trouble then. But that might be the bluest water I've seen in a long time.
This is still at sea level, so.
All right.
So Hawaii to kick after a beautiful scoring drive. 15 plays, 84 yards. Alfoni Mohamed gets tripped up by the kicker, but not until he's out to midfield. Let's check downstairs with Warren Smith.
Thank you. Well, and you can't help but be impressed with Alfoni Mohamed. Another terrific run right there. But so much of the heap this week focused on this man, Davis Webb, the California quarterback. I think the fans here in Sydney have really enjoyed seeing Webb and this Bear Raid get the chance to air it out in this season opener. 3 passes for touchdowns. He's run for another one and played behind an impressive offensive line today, which is only going to get better when 350-pound left tackle Aaron Cochran returns from that knee injury, which has kept him out of action here in Sydney.
Yeah, there's Cochran, who was started 6 of the last 8 games last year at left tackle, but out for a little bit of this season now. Not known exactly when we'll see him back.
6'8", 340. I'd hate to pay his food bills.
Yeah. Yeah. Bug Rivera with another grab from Davis Webb. Well, for Webb, you know, the change of scenery is coming over here, getting to work in this offense that's so similar to the Texas Tech air raid offense that he was in before. Jake Spavital, the new offensive coordinator, they really have clicked and had a relationship. And one of the things that everyone at Cal has told us about Davis Webb coming in here was his first priority was to be a good teammate. And he worked really hard at becoming a teammate. He said he only had a couple of months to kind of get to know everybody and get the locker room behind him.
I thought that was awesome. As a coach, that fired me up when he said, I want to spend time with the offensive line, with the receivers. And obviously, he's going to play with those guys. But he wanted them to know who he was, to see him working, to learn their names. He went about it the right way, and I think that's one of the reasons, in addition to his obvious talent, that he's the starter.
Into the football office at 7 o'clock in the morning. Often only leaves about 10 o'clock at night. Just finished getting his undergraduate degree and all now working on a master's at Cal.
Remember, he's a coach's son, too.
Yes.
So he's a football junkie. He loves it, watches film, probably a gym rat, too.
Got the exercise and sports science degree in 3.5 years from Texas Tech as Nefi Kaloa Matangi hits the turf with problem with that left leg, maybe beginning to cramp up. And so during the injury timeout. So Webb now looking to get a public health master's from Cal as part of this graduate transfer thing. That's no small undertaking. He was telling us the other day when we were talking to him that he had to scramble to take an exam that same day, and he said this is not an easy thing.
Yeah, no, I was wondering if it was something to do with eligibility, and they said no, he's totally eligible. This is what he's doing now, and what he's doing as part of that master's program.
You talk to him, everything is yes. And again, you know, his journey through Texas Tech, and he got to be the starter through injury, was solid in replacement of Baker Mayfield, was the starter the next year, had a spectacular season going, got injured himself. Patrick Mahomes came in and basically kept the starting job the next year, and Webb became a backup. He wanted to play football. He wanted another chance to be the starter, and he's got that here at Cal.
I think Cliff Kingsbury and Texas Tech should be applauded for supplying other quarterbacks to the other schools in Division I football.
Well, Davis said that Cliff was very supportive of his decision, and a great source.
They talked every day,
yeah,
which I was really surprised and pleased at that too, because a lot of times when a player chooses to leave your program, you may not still want to talk to him.
Yeah. There's Trey Watson. Yeah, he said that Kingsbury was a great source of information when they were discussing various programs to go to. And the other one he said was a great source of information was Jared Goff, who he reached out to get an idea of what the Cal team was going to be like. And Goff was very helpful in that aspect as well. So the third quarter ends with Davis Webb and company in command of the ball and leading Hawaii 41-24. Watch ESPN. Here in Sydney at ANZ Stadium, Hawaii and Cal in the opening game of the college football season. Starting the fourth quarter, Alan Bestwick, Coach Mike Bellotti, Warren Smith down on the sidelines for us. Davis Webb under pressure and going down.
That's not what you want to happen. That ball should have been thrown away as soon as he got anywhere near outside the tackle box. You can throw it past the line of scrimmage. That's a huge sack, though. And that'll be a play that they can go back and say, Davis.
Get in there to put the pressure on the quarterback, and now Jake Spavital and Davis Webb left to talk it over while the punt unit comes on for Cal. It'll be a short and sideways one. And Hawaii is going to get the ball. Waiting to see that mark. That's a pretty decent field position here. So timeout on the field. Just underway, fourth quarter. Hawaii gets the ball back. Can they score again? time the college football season. ANZ Stadium, Sydney, Australia. Last time the Rainbow Warriors had the ball, they went on a 15-play, 84-yard, 6-minute, 14-second drive. As the Osprey St. Just goes over 100 yards for the second time in his collegiate career. Last drive, Hawaii converted on 4th down, picked up 5 first downs along the way. And a nice little morale-building drive there for Nick Rolovich and his team. Building morale, a theme of our conversation with the Hawaii coaches.
You're right, and it's not always about winning and losing. It's very important, but competing, the will to compete, the discipline to continue to play hard, to not quit. Last year, and they had some tough times in fall camp. There was one day where he didn't like what happened, so he made them come out in full pads the second practice, which they hadn't done. And he said a lot of kids sort of hung their head and had some bad body language, but they talked about that. Part of that, their practices involved not the physical part, but the between the ears part of mentality of how you compete, how you handle adversity, those type of things.
One of the things that Coach Rolovich said he had heard from a distance about the Hawaii program is that the culture wasn't what it needed to be. He said, you know, and you hear this so much anymore in sports, but isn't it true? Playing for each other in the locker room, right? Being committed to what it takes and playing for each other is such a big thing anymore.
Well, you want them to like, respect, and love their teammate, and be willing to protect their teammate, have their back, all that type of thing. Play like a warrior. That's what you talked about. Pride in the rock.
Live Aloha, play warrior, I think is Rolovich's slogan for the season. Where do you coaches come up with these things? That's beautiful, isn't it?
Well, it's the necessity of invention, or whatever you call it. You got to think it's something the kids can relate to.
Yeah. Ikaika Woolsey, the senior quarterback for Hawaii, 14 of 28, 201 yards in passing. He's going to throw again here. And he's going to run for cover. Beginning to wonder as that shadow creeps across the field. We've seen it.
Number 50 offense, 10-yard penalty, so first down.
Dijon Allen, the starting left tackle for Hawaii, flagged for the penalty.
Yeah, it's difficult when a quarterback scrambles. If an offensive lineman has an angle, he's blocking a defensive end outside, let's say, and all of a sudden you think the quarterback's in the pocket, he starts to flash outside. You end up trying to just not let that guy release quite as easily. You got to let go of him.
Just wondering, as that shadow creeps across the field, its effect on not only the quarterbacks, the receivers in the passing game, but maybe on the footing too.
Yeah, I don't know this. I imagine they have the lights on already and have had them on for a while, because anytime the shadows occur. But yeah,
ball's out. That's not going to help.
No, but that's the opportunistic Cal defense. It talks about one of the things that Art Kaufman has done is improve on takeaways. And I asked him how he did that, and he said we got better athletes. Better athleticism results in more takeaways.
Protecting the ball, cutting down on penalties, two of the areas of emphasis for Hawaii and the coaching staff. They have just turned it over on a fumble for a second time in this game. They just puts it on the ground. Luke Blubenzer picks it up for Cal. Beautiful Sydney in New South Wales, where the first college football game of the season is being played on this Saturday afternoon. Cal quarterback Davis Webb still in, with his team having a big lead in the fourth quarter. Completes that one to the outside to Brandon Singleton, and a nice gain for Singleton. How about Webb being in the ball game here? His line 28 of 40, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Would you still have him in the ball game at this point with this lead?
I wouldn't, but I think maybe Coach was frustrated by the fact that he didn't get the ball in the end zone or finish the way he wanted to last time. They've got great field position. I think he wants to see, maybe he's going to run the ball a little bit, but personally for me, with a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter, 11 minutes left, I would say I'd like to see either Forrest or Bowers, one of my next guys. Who else can play? I think I know what Webb can do now. I don't want to risk injury. I'm not saying anything, and Coach may have something in his mind that he wants done, that he wants to see accomplished before he sets him down for the day.
Trying to find the end zone with Singleton, and it falls incomplete you know, when you put a new quarterback together with a new offensive system and a new offensive staff, there just may be, you know, one of the things that you and I were talking about earlier before the game was one of the things you like about the first football game of the season is you're tired of going against your own guys. And maybe just getting some more reps against somebody else is part of the plan here.
Well, and what you want, though, too, is to get quality reps for your backups, the twos that may have to be forced into action as the one later on due to injury. So I'd make sure that you get a chance here to play the other players, the quarterback, with some of the still first-team guys in there.
Yep.
So he's operating when we talk about plays that count, not mop-up duty, but plays that count.
Chad Hansen has had a big game, his 13th reception of the ball game for the Golden Bears. An injury timeout here is Corey Rasmussen, the big fifth-year senior lineman, and one of the great stories of this Hawaii team, is down on the turf, and hate to see that.
He's one of the leaders of this team, and one of the guys that the coaches talked about was their voice going forward.
So an injury timeout on the field in Sydney. Corey Rasmussen has been hurt. We'll keep you posted and come back after a break.
Him walk off the field.
He did get up and walk off the field under his own power, and that's good. Flag coming in, a little movement on the right side of the Cal offensive line. Rasmussen, one of the great stories of Hawaii, originally enrolled at Colorado after high school, transferred to Hawaii, sat out 13, played on the scout team in 14, began camp for the 15th season as a walk-on, earned a scholarship before the first game, wound up starting 9 of the games last year.
You like those guys that are hungry to play football. I'll tell you what. That's why he's one of the leaders of this team. They recognize his drive and determination.
Off into the sunlight and caught for the completion as the 14th reception of the game for Chad Hansen. What a day for the redshirt junior from Fillmore, California. You talked about Cal losing its top 6 leading receivers from last year. Well, he was number 7.
Lucky number 7.
He was the leading returning receiver from a year ago, and he's certainly been their leading receiver today.
Certainly, he and Davis Webb seem to be on the same page. That's where Webb wants to go when he's in trouble.
Oh, tipped away at the last second and knocked off the fingertips by Rogesterman Farris for Hawaii.
That ball was just slightly underthrown and thrown behind him. He would have had another touchdown in his 15th reception. You see it right here. Just throw that a little bit over the top. Nice job by the defensive back. He's lamenting the fact that I could have had an interception.
Yeah, I didn't get just a fingertip on it. I got hands on it. Set it up outside for Stovall. Gets down inside the 10-yard line.
Nice job. You see the more fluidity from Davis Webb and getting rid of the ball. But Stovall a little bit windmill with that ball in his hand. You're going to tell the young guy, keep the ball in tight, high and tight. Is the way you handle that football.
There's Muhammad oh, he dropped it. He was all by himself and had a touchdown, except he forgot to bring the ball in.
That Hawaii is bringing pressure, and when they bring pressure, one of those defensive guys on the outside is supposed to peel with the back if he releases. You can't get too much more wide open than this. Here you can see it right there. You can see number 5 coming off the edge, was supposed to grab him, and he knew he had a touchdown. He was thinking about maybe what I want to do with the ball in the end zone. Got to catch it first. That was a look of pain on Coach Dykes' face.
It should have been. So the field goal try for Matt Anderson is good. Cal will get 3 out of that one anyway and go up by 20 points over Hawaii in this fourth quarter.
I may predict that that's the last we'll see of Davis Webb tonight.
Well, if it is, a good time for our player spotlight today, brought to you by the U.S. Navy. It would so happen to be Davis Webb. Pretty solid numbers on his first game for Cal.
Watch here what Webb has done today, and here's an example of his vision. This is that double move route we touched, sort of a fake widescreen, and go, watch number 1 Stovall wheel out of there, but watch the little pump fake right there. Webb's comfortable, patient in the pocket, and then throws a perfect pass. That's typical of what he does. Once he's settled into a rhythm, he feels really good in this Cal Bear Raid.
Well, he's thrown 32 passes to 10 different receivers and even got his first ever rushing touchdown.
Which is first ever in his career.
Yes, in his career.
Good for him.
In this one. So certainly a great day for Davis Webb.
There's a young man on the sidelines for Cal, Kevin Parker, who used to play for me at Oregon, but he'll be the guy with the biggest towel. He was standing next to Davis Webb a second ago. He works for the Cal athletic department now as an academic life coach type thing. Done a great job, but fine young man.
This is Harris back for the kick return. Gets the ball out to the 27-yard line. And speaking of kickoffs, college football kickoff weekend, Saturday, September 3rd. Oklahoma, Houston at noon Eastern on ABC kicks us off. How about LSU, Wisconsin at Lambeau Field? Georgia and North Carolina and Atlanta, SC and Alabama and Arlington, Clemson and Auburn on the Plains. Sunday night's game, Notre Dame and Texas in Austin, and Monday in Orlando, Ole Miss and Florida State. Watch them all, because they're all going to be good.
They're all going to be good. You know, Ole Miss, Florida State and Clemson are 2 teams I think have separated themselves in the ACC. They are just so good, but I don't think you can rule out Louisville. Louisville is Lamar Jackson, the quarterback. They've got a bunch of guys returning. They're sort of the dark horse on that side of the ball. Flip it over, though. Mark Richt goes to Miami, comes back to his alma mater. He's got a quarterback in Brad Kaya that knows what to do with it. And then Larry Fedora, all he did was take North Carolina to a great season, undefeated in league. And I think you can't count either one of those guys out. But I think the strength of that conference is the Atlantic Division.
Now, I think most folks would agree with you that of the 2, the Atlantic Division, the stronger. That's Florida State and Clemson for sure. And you look on the other side, though. Who's coming out of the Coastal, right? You've got North Carolina, who is sort of the early favorite, but there's a lot of other folks in there that you can't forget about. I looked at, I want to know what Virginia Tech is going to be this year, and I want to look at Pitt and see what's going to happen there in the second year at Pitt.
Pitt's the one you mentioned. I'll tell you what, they've got James Conner coming back, and you know what? He might not start because the replacement, Quasi Ollison, was the Rookie of the Year in that conference. They're going to have, and they have a great defense coming back. Narduzzi's done a tremendous job. So I look at Miami, North Carolina, and Pitt as the ones that could vie for that side and end up playing the Atlantic Division champion.
Miami, offensive line. That's my question for them. They've got receivers. They've got a running game. Do they have the offensive line and the depth at offensive line to make the most of it?
And can they play with the consistency that was lacking during Al Golden's time there? They played well one week, and then the next week they may not show up. Can Mark Richt get consistency out of that group of athletes?
I know this. Every time you hear Coach Richt speak, he's looking forward to calling plays again, working specifically with the quarterbacks. And fair catch called for and made at the 30-yard line by Vic Wharton, and the Cal offense will come onto the field. Who will be coming onto the field to lead them at quarterback? It's Davis Webb, still.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm going to go officially in protest right now because I'm a coach and I know how good Davis Webb is. I don't want to risk another play. I think this game is in the books for Cal, and obviously there must be something I don't know what they're trying to do. And maybe they're going to focus on the running game and take him out of it and just make sure that he has the experience in doing some of those things that he hasn't done during fall camp enough.
Fani Muhammad, who had the touchdown ball fall out of his hands at the end of the last drive, gets the first carry on this one. We'll see if Cal tries to scrub a little clock off here. That is something you get with two teams that want to spread the ball out and throw it a lot, right? A lot of stoppages of the clock.
That's true. Like I said, they are, even though they're in a no-huddle situation, they're still taking time off the clock and running the ball. And one of the things that they've probably told the running back is stay in bounds. Let's keep that clock running.
Well, thinking on the bigger picture, Sonny Dykes was talking to us about all that goes in, has gone into the planning to make this happen. Things like getting your equipment through customs and all of the planning that had to go into it. They have a brand new equipment manager. Only came onto the job this past spring.
Did they tell him it was going to happen before he took the job?
Snowball. Down inside the 35-yard line with that one. Yes, he did know it was going to happen when he took the job. He's 27 years old. He and Coach Dykes had crossed paths before, but it became his job to make all of this happen. And he made it happen. They got everything through relatively smooth, but all of the logistics that went involved as we have a Hawaii player that's down on the turf. Mayo, yes, it fell awkwardly at the end of the play after that contact.
They could ill afford to lose him. He's one of their better cover guys. Actually from the Bay Area, where Oakland, California, right close to Cal Berkeley.
Anyway, I just wanted to finish that story. Dan Mathewson, the new Cal football equipment manager. He's been the one responsible for all the logistics from their end, and of course the Hawaii logistics staff too. And when I talked to some of the Cal folks this morning, they wanted to be sure to point out just how amazingly organized the Australian end of this whole thing has been. The University of New South Wales and all that they've done for coordinating all of this, and what an effort it's been to make this game happen.
The advance party and those guys that take it. A lot of coaches, I mean, I tried to recognize when I was coaching myself, the equipment people, the trainers, all the medical staff, the people that help keep these players healthy and make them go and, you know, supply the lockers and the meeting rooms and all the rest of that stuff, because the reality is we get to do the easy part. The football game on the field, everybody's excited about. Nobody's excited about staying and cleaning up, putting shirts and T-shirts and socks and shoes and all the rest of it, and taking care of the trainers that are there after practice, after the coaches go home, still taking care of the athletes. They're the guys that deserve a huge pat on the back.
Well, it certainly served the growing interest in American football in Australia. Warren's been telling us how Super Bowl parties now are such a massive thing in Australia, as Cal's going to go into the end zone again. And a touchdown for Jordan Vesey.
You know, the air raid.
Flag on the field. We'll hang on to that in just a second.
But come back for the air raid concept is to never take the foot off the pedal. Keep the pedal to the metal.
Number 5. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a touchdown.
Keep the pedal to the metal the entire time. And so Coach Dykes is of that same mind. Score as many points as you can. Keep your people out there. Keep throwing the ball down the field. It can be scary, but they're looking to build a tradition of something else. Hawaii, on the other hand, says, guys, we got to stop them. They're not going to stop themselves. We got to stop them.
Anderson's point after try is good. So the lead grows for the Cal Golden Bears, who are enjoying their season opening time in Australia. Into the end zone, Jordan Vesey for the Cal touchdown. Great look at the world's largest natural harbor. If you're on your honeymoon and you're wearing Cal jerseys, you're having a good time. and it's still the middle of the afternoon.
Well, you're on your honeymoon and your team is winning. That's good.
27-point lead for the Golden Bears. And 7 minutes to go in this opening game of the college football season. Here's Harris again. Talking a lot about the game and bringing American football to Australia. Let's get a perspective on that from our Australian host. What do you think, Warren?
Alan, you're talking about logistics and some of the challenges the teams faced this week. I can tell you midweek on Wednesday, it was almost monsoonal, the rain here in Sydney. The Cow Bears got an absolute drenching. Luckily, they have a natural grass surface at the University of New South Wales and also an artificial turf surface as well, which the team used for the remainder of the week. It was a great advantage for them. Hawaii, just down the road here from ANZ Stadium, had to play or train on a natural grass surface. It was, well, it was a quagmire at times during that afternoon, but they just sucked it up. They smiled their way through it, and right now Hawaii are already thinking about having to get on a plane at 9:30 tonight. All the gear has to go back as well on the way home to Hawaii and then to Ann Arbor, Michigan. What a job that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Great scenes. The Hawaii players splashing around in the mud on Wednesday, and yeah, a daunting task to go from Honolulu to Sydney, play your opener, and then go all the way back to Honolulu and across to Ann Arbor, Michigan for your next game. That's next Saturday at noon. And Jim Harbaugh's Wolverines, the opponent that's waiting.
That's a tough test to go from a spread team that's going to spread you out and throw the ball 60, 70 times to a Harbaugh team that's going to run the ball down your throat. So you got to change that preparation quickly.
Home opener for Hawaii is on September the 10th. Tennessee Martin comes to town, and you look at the schedule, the number of air miles involved, and so on as Harris gets the carry. Hawaii and California are two of the most traveled teams in college football this year, but they're not the top two. There's actually one more team that'll get a little bit more travel than Cal will, as you see the schedule upcoming for the Rainbow Warriors and that tough Mountain West slate that they'll face, including a trip to San Diego State, taking on the Boise State Broncos at home in Honolulu. But that bottom team on the schedule, UMass.
UMass.
One of the remaining independents in college football, and UMass is going to travel a bunch, including to Honolulu.
Yeah, that Hawaii trip is a long one, I can tell. But look at those back-to-back San Diego State, Boise State, the two favorites in the conference, and considered to be some of the most powerful in the group of five on back-to-back weekends.
So last year it was the American and Houston out of the group of five. If you were to stop and look at who's the most likely to get that team into the New Year's Six, you start with Houston because they're so highly ranked. But then you do go right to that San Diego State, Boise State on the Mountain West.
I think if they both win their divisions, the winner of that game will be in line, because I know San Diego State last year under Rocky Long reeled off 10 straight victories to end the season. I mean, and they dominated Cincinnati in the bowl game.
Yep. One of the interesting matchups, talking about interconference play and the non-conference play in the early part of the season. Week 2 game. Washington State in Boise to take on Boise State on the blue up there. That'll be a fascinating one.
That will be. I had Washington State at Nevada Reno a couple years ago when Rolovich was the OC, and Reno beat Washington State when they came in to Reno. So yeah, it's a tough thing. Washington State is sort of a surprise team too, a sleeper. Luke Falk, they're going to throw the ball. They're very much this same style as what Cal does. Spread you out and throw the ball, and Luke Falk is as good as any in the nation at doing that.
Woolsey going to throw deep, and a hand at the last second with the Birds scattering from the turf. And a nice defensive play to knock that one away by Ashton Davis, the redshirt freshman from Santa Cruz.
That was a nice throw. That was pretty good arm strength and a pretty accurate pass. Great timing by the defender to go up and knock this ball away.
You familiar with Rufus the Hawk from Wimbledon?
No, but I think I will be soon.
Well, they have a hawk who is trained, and the reason why you don't ever see any pigeons or things like that at Wimbledon is the hawk patrols the grounds.
Really?
Right?
Well, that's neat.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, they could use it here.
Just say it. The pigeons apparently are not used to American football. Rugby, I'm sure they stay away. Right?
They're not scared about being on the field at the same time. Do they know those guys are wearing pads?
Yeah. That's fun. We're talking about schedules and things. We have some really smart people at ESPN who do these predictive analytics. I was talking about the scheduling earlier, and they came out earlier today with the fact that Cal has the 5th most difficult schedule in college football this season. So this a long haul away from home and a good start for Cal, but they've got a tough road ahead. Got Texas coming to town week 3 to play in Berkeley. Non-conference play, and then of course just their conference play alone. Think about the road they have to travel.
The North Division, Stanford, Washington, Oregon, all are considered, ranked in the top 25. It's a tough road, and I think you told me also that is USC. Where do they rank?
USC's number 1. Yeah. So you have the 5th toughest schedule in the country, and you're only 2nd in your conference, where that factor is considered. Woolsey with a nice run. He'll go down inside the 15-yard line for the Hawaii quarterback, saying we're not quitting.
No, and that's exactly what Coach Rolovich wants. He wants guys to compete, to not quit, to have pride in what they do, to learn to fight till the end. And they'll take some of those positives away from this game. There's a lot of things to learn from, and Cal athletically was probably much better and had more depth. But they want to get something going here. They can take something away from this, because now they're going from the I don't know, call it kettle black, going to Michigan now. They're playing Cal that is not ranked, and they're playing a Michigan team that's ranked somewhere in the top 10.
Yeah.
From the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah, there you go. Well, no one said it was going to be easy, but Nick Rolovich has embraced the job with enthusiasm, seizing the opportunity. He believes he can restore the pride to the Rock.
And he's hired people that have been there before, both with him as players and coaches. They all understand what it takes, and they're going to work very hard to make it happen.
Paul Harris fighting for the pylon, and he'll get into the end zone for the touchdown.
Nice patient run by Paul Harris. He weaved in and out, set up some blocks. You see they're pulling the off guard there. He gets out around the outside. Nice blocking by the wide receiver there. Ties him up. He makes the guy miss and then just tiptoes the sideline. So great patience. Nice blocking by the offense. Now, some of those guys are substitutes on the defense, and they're going to look at the film and say, I need to learn how to get off that block. I need to keep my leverage, all those type of things.
Point after try is through, and it's a 20-point game again in Sydney. After we're done with this one, stick around for SportsCenter at night. Lisa Kearney and Kevin Connors will have the highlights from this one. The NFL preseason action, baseball, pennant races, second round at the Barclays at Bethpage, and everything else that's going on in sports. SportsCenter at night, up next on ESPN, streaming live on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN. So all of this conversation about conferences and so on as we get ready to start the college football season. We get all the way, this is the first game of the season, all the way to the last couple of games. And these are the 4 teams you think are going to be in them.
Yeah, these were put down alphabetically, to be honest with you. But I look at these teams, and certainly I judge based on what they did last year, how their recruiting went, how their spring practice went, how fall camp has gone. But I think Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma are 4 of the teams, certainly, and you could throw in LSU, Florida State, Stanford, Michigan, but I believe Alabama, you can't bet against Nick Saban. They've got a tremendous team. They recruited well. Clemson, Deshaun Watson is probably the best football player, most talented, and then Ohio State, I think, is a dark horse in that regard, but J.T. Barrett, great quarterback. No concerns this year about who's going to play quarterback. And in Oklahoma, we talked about, they are loaded. And Baker Mayfield is a wizard.
Well, one of the things that I think fascinates me most as we got ready for this college football season is just looking ahead and all of the possibilities. Right? You can look at it and you can say that's what we think will happen. But there are 18 zillion ways this could all unfold, even in just these first 3 weeks of the season.
And odds are there will be somebody that we don't have in that list that's going to step in and make a difference.
Think about in the first 3 weeks of the season, just picking random games out of my memory that I can think of from the top of the schedule. Besides Alabama and Southern Cal and Notre Dame and Texas, how about Ohio State and Oklahoma?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon at Nebraska.
That's going to tell us a lot about both programs.
Yeah.
Nebraska had a tough season. UCLA and Texas A&M.
Yes.
Josh Rosen's a great quarterback, but does he have enough supporting cast on offense to make it happen for UCLA?
Even UCLA at BYU.
Yes.
You know, on the road, and Provo's a tough place to play. And you know, I mean, it's going to be fascinating. I really love the emphasis on the non-conference matchups we're seeing, and I think it does so much for the sport and so much for the fans. And I know it maybe is a little stressful on the guys that wear those headsets like coaches, but I think it's just terrific.
I agree with you, and that's why we play the game. You can't mail it in. You can't predict anything right now. We go a week at a time. That's the way it should be.
That's it. As for this game in Sydney, they were expecting a turnout of about 60,000. Warren was telling us that noon on Saturday is not a typical time for a sporting event. Most of them happen later in the day or in the evening. But a pretty good-looking turnout, and certainly a great interest and a growing interest in American football. I haven't even mentioned Pro Kick Australia, right? All the Australian kickers that are coming through into college and pro ball. College Game Day has done a very nice story on Pro Kick Australia and the pipeline of Australian punters and why these kids that grow up playing Australian rules football are so good kicking at American football. And you'll see that on Game Day in the next few weeks as College Game Day gets geared up at Lambeau Field next week.
It's awesome. And, you know, all the rugby background, they all handle the ball, they kick the ball both on the run and stationary, and they develop some great foot skills. And it's amazing. There's some great punters from Australia in both the NFL and college football, and they're some of the best in the nation.
Got more to add there, Warren?
Speaking to Coach Sonny Dykes during the week, he was super impressed. He spent a bit of time in the hotel room watching Australian rules live on Fox Sports down here. He said the one thing he didn't realise is how big those guys are in Australian rules. They can kick it a mile, but they are big bodies. He said our kickers are normally smaller, lighter guys. Down here, there are some big, strong athletes who can hoof the ball a long, long way.
Hey, Warren, so that's Sonny Dykes' impression of Australian rules football. What about your impression of American football and American college football in person from the sideline today?
Well, considering that it's been 30 years since we first saw college football down in Australia, remember that 1985 game down in Melbourne, as we see a first down here for the Cal Bears. They'll have a chance to maybe add one more touchdown before this whole show is over. But it's amazing it's taken 30 years from that point on to see college football in this town. Given there's 61,000 people here today, it's been a perfect afternoon weather-wise. I think the crowd has really enjoyed the show. The bands have been terrific. The marching bands, the cheerleaders as well. The cannon has been going off every time Cal score. There might be one more blast from the cannon before we get done.
Yes, sir. It has been a fun experience.
That Cal offense has had quite a day. They're over 600 yards now, total offense.
Near side, Demetris Robinson will scamper out of bounds and stop the clock with 1:06 to go. Don't forget that right after the conclusion of the game, those watching in the United States will see the trophy presentation on ESPN3. Those watching us in Australia, stay right where you are for the trophy presentation to come your way live as the Sydney College Cup trophy is presented. I understand Marshawn Lynch might be involved in said presentation.
That'll be interesting to see him. He's such an eloquent speaker, and he does a lot of that.
So inside a minute to go in the first college football game of the season, and the beginning of what is going to be a fantastic next 10 days, a kickoff period in the sport. I think fair to call this game down under a success. Certainly the bowl week atmosphere at the beginning of the season has been fun. And we'll move ahead now. Of course, tomorrow got some action too as well. Charleston Southern and North Dakota State in our FCS showcase kickoff weekend. Those are two of the top teams in the football championship subdivision squaring off, and that one is tomorrow.
Hey, I'll take any football I can get. This time of the year, I think everybody's so hungry for a game, they're just going to watch anything they can and be excited about the fact that college football is back.
That's So clock running here now with 10 seconds to go, and Cal up for a 20-point win, and Davis Webb stayed you as the Golden Bears quarterback. The final score in Sydney, Cal 51 and Hawaii 31. Up next on ESPN is SportsCenter, and ESPN3 has live coverage of the Sydney College Cup postgame trophy ceremony if you'd like to go. We thank all of the people on both sides of the ocean who did so much work to make this telecast happen, and thank those on Fox Sports Australia who've been watching in the land down under as well. For Warren Smith and Mike Bellotti, Alan Bestwick saying so long from Sydney. Trophy presentation coming right up on ESPN3.